Hi, I'm Dr. Mickey Becker with Mood Forward. This is the third video in our series on setting boundaries. And today we're going to talk about identifying what the specific boundary or the specific behavior is that's unacceptable. As I mentioned in the first episode, this is going to require you to change. Second episode, we talked about how it requires you to know why this bothers you and what role you play in managing your own emotions. Now we get into the part of evaluating the other person's behavior. So we're 3 in now, and we're finally saying, what is the actual behavior that I need to see change? Sometimes we just have this laundry list of you always blah, 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 and we bring it in and we're just blasting them. And so we're leaving them with no idea what is the thing that I'm actually doing wrong. Sometimes we come in and it's an immediate thing, but we've not evaluated, does this bother me now because it's been going on? We want to know before we try and set the boundary, we want to be very clear. What is the thing that needs to change? What's the specific behavior? Is this something that is a theme, that you are late on many occasions? So it's a theme of being late. Is it a one-time deal? You did this one thing and I don't want you to do it again. That one time that you kicked me in the shins, I'm not okay with that. If we're not clear on what the specific item is, if we can't clearly describe it, then we are not allowing the other person to succeed. We're not giving them a clear enough idea of what the behavior is that needs to change for them to actually succeed. We're also not putting ourselves in a position to evaluate, have they actually done the right thing? Often we put this boundary out and we think, if you change this particular thing, then I will not be as upset. So you change that thing, but I'm still upset. So if that's the case, then I clearly haven't identified what the thing was that was upsetting me in the first place. I haven't clearly identified something that you can change that will solve the problem. All I've done is set you up to try really hard and fail. And I've put myself in a position where I might be enacting consequences when you really haven't done anything wrong. It's just I didn't identify what the problem was in the first place. So then we have the question, how do we identify it? And identify it, part of it goes back to what we talked about last episode of what is bothering you. What's the emotional response that comes up for you? Because if that is the emotional response, now we're looking at what other situations does that same emotional response come up in? Because that may give you an idea of, oh, that is a behavior that is common and can be clearly identified. For example, I don't like it when you're late. I would like you to not be late. Late. Okay, late to how much is late? Late to what? Late to everything? Late to dinner? Late to parties? Late to what? And who gets to decide if I'm late or not? Is that I didn't show up 5 minutes early, so I'm late? Or is that I didn't show up before the main event of the evening started, so I'm late? If we don't clearly identify it, how does the other person succeed? How do we know if they're achieving it? Excuse me for a second. So let's look at the late thing. I'm evaluating, when do I get upset? I get upset when we go to events together and you are running behind schedule, and so then we as a unit do not get there at the specified start time of the event. The reason that bothers me, hypothetically, is because I was trained from the moment I was born that You never show up late, that it's completely socially unacceptable. So now for me, when we show up late, I've got to justify why I was late. I feel embarrassed. I feel like I've failed. I've got to come up with excuses. All kinds of stuff is coming up for me because I was late and you were part of that. My role is to learn to manage my anxiety. That when we are late, I'm managing that. I don't like it. I don't enjoy how this feels, but I can manage this feeling even if you choose to not change. That you changing is not the sole solution to my emotional discomfort. But just because I can manage my emotions related to this doesn't mean I'm okay with it. So here's where we set the boundary. If we are going to an event together, I need you to be prepared so that we can get there at the specified event start time. I'm very clear. This is the situation. This is why it bothers me. I am managing my own emotions. This is what I'm requesting of you. When we go to events together, when we're late, it upsets me. I'm managing that, but I am asking that you stop or that you start being on time. The next step in that obviously is what's the consequence, but that's for the next one or for the next episode. Right now, we're just looking at that, identifying what is the specific behavior. You're going to want to look at, like I say, what are their themes? Are there themes not of their behavior, but themes of how you feel? And does that feeling come up with the same exact behavior? Does it come up every time they raise their voice? Or does it come up when they raise their voice during movies? Does it come up every time they are late? Or does it only come up when they're late to the kids' events? It's trying to be clear, what is this specific behavior? So that, again, you're setting the other person up for success. That they know exactly what it is that they need to change. And you're setting yourself up to enact the consequence because you will be very clear of, this is the thing that I asked for and that is the thing you didn't do. Identifying what the problem is. We don't want to just blast with, here's when you always do this thing. In-laws, you invite yourself over all the time. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe what it is that I'm not okay with it in the evenings when I am hanging out and having my time, you just suddenly show up. Maybe I'm not okay with that during the day when the babysitter's there, you show up and force your way in to hang out with the kids. Maybe it's you show up uninvited on special days simply because you think you should be there. It's looking at what is the specific thing. The more clear you can be, again, the more clear you can be of what is that specific behavior that needs to change. For example, for me, had to have conversation with a friend of mine that I was struggling, I was frustrated with their not showing up to meetings. Or, when we would plan to hang out. And when I evaluated it, what it really came down to was showing up late didn't bother me if they just told me I'm going to be late. What bothered me was they would say, I'll be there in a minute, and then it would be a half hour. So this behavior, it was the telling me it would only be a moment and then it not being a moment that upset me. If they'd have just said, hey, I'm going to be a half hour late, I don't have a problem with that. So the conversation wasn't, hey, don't show up late when we plan to hang out. The conversation was, if you are going to be late, just let me know when you honestly think you will arrive. Don't say you're going to be there just to try and make me feel better or just to avoid a fight. Just tell me, hey, this is when I'm going to show up. But with that, again, it was me evaluating what is the actual problem here so that I can identify it for them, give them a chance to succeed, and I'll know, did I just get upset or was the specific behavior not met? Again, I know you're looking at this point, you're 3 episodes in going, Mick, when are you ever going to give us a way to set boundaries? And all I'm doing is having you reflect. But it's these reflection moments that put you in a position where in the long term, you don't have to go through the frustration of, how do I set a boundary? You just have to evaluate, why does this bother me? What's the thing that needs to change? And then set the consequence. Next time, we'll probably talk about consequences next time. Just looking at it in the sense of consequences may not be something you like. So it's not looking at what can you do to the other person, but what can be the thing that is just, you know what, this is the outcome. Again, Dr. Mickey Becker with Mood Forward. Thank you for watching, and hope so far you're getting something out of it, even though I'm not giving you the quick solutions.